driver who has shone during qualifying. Kevin Sear is on pole position in the number 18 Mercedes-Benz, and he's got just behind him the number 19 car on the outside of the second row of the grid, David Punn. So it's Kevin Sear alongside Philip Lawrence Kaduri on the front row of the grid. Then the number 7 car of Lei Kit Meng, and this number 19 car of David Punn on the outside of row 2. This year, it's opened up to a number, we're seeing Lei Kit Meng now, the Macanese driver, qualified in 3rd position, a time of 2:37.497. The time for Kevin Sear on pole position, incidentally, 2 minutes 35.130. Takes pole position, the only car in the 2:35s. Already you're seeing the beautiful design. This is a huge race for local drivers. Yesterday, touring cars, today, GT Cup cars. And this is the highlight of these drivers' year. The Hong Kong drivers, the Macau drivers, the Chinese drivers as well, all competing for the spoils of victory here at Macau. Now, qualifying in 6th place is Chang Tian-Shang, and that's the number 88 car, which is the KTM Expo, which was incredibly rapid during qualifying, has already impressed alongside the white and lime machine, the number 39 machine of Chang Wei Chung, and that's the Aston Martin Vantage. So this GT race this year for the local drivers has been opened up to a number of different manufacturers: Ginettas, Lotus, Mercedes, Aston Martin, BMW, KTM and Audi, all represented. This is the 8th position car, and that's the scene down on a very sunny grid ahead of getting this GT Cup race underway. 7th position on the grid. We're working sort of backwards as we go down the grid, 8th to 7th and then 10th to 9th. So we're going from the on track, the right-hand side of the track, over to the left-hand side of the track, which brings us next to the car that qualified in 10th place, which is the number 68 BMW of Gt Pays from China in his BMW M4. His time of 2:42.388, gets himself ready, on go the gloves, and then back to the other side of the grid with the number 4 car in 9th position, and that's one of the regular featured drivers of these GT races here, which have been for some years exclusively for Lotus, but great that it's opened up to include all the different marques. This is we just saw the car of Matt Carlock, and then we go back to the number 5 car of Li Yen Han alongside the number 66 car qualifying in 11th place of Su Yang Hong, number 66 from the Son Ven Racing Team, and the Lotus Exige from Song Ven Racing Team. Very high level of preparation year after year for that team, and they know just how important it is to claim a podium position and glory here at Macau. We saw an 8-time winner yesterday in the touring car race, Paul Poon. This is the 29 car of It Yen Hu, and that's a Macanese driver in his Lotus Exige. And alongside on the 7th row, Alexander Au. We're going to be keeping our eye out for this number 93 car. The Hong Kong-based Grid Motorsport entered Audi R8, making its debut here at Macau this weekend. He was very quick, 2nd quickest in free practice, but not featuring in an interrupted qualifying session, so therefore a little way down the order on the 7th row of the grid. To number 3, that's the car of Learn Kwok Kern from Hong Kong in the Top Gun GT Lotus Exige, alongside the 28 car, and that's the car of Lo He Fong from Macau in his Lotus Exige as well. Back to the 9th row of the grid, the number 99 car of Eureka de Jesus, one of the names that's featured regularly, not having quite the qualifying that we would normally expect from the Mac Pro Racing Team, entered Lotus Exige, and alongside the number 1 car of Dickie Chung in the white and pink resplendent liveried number 1 car, and that's the Ginetta G55. Had quite a few unfortunate problems for the Ginettas during free practice and qualifying as well. and number 1 was one of the Ginettas that has had a problem over the 3 days. They had a day off yesterday. They weren't on track at all, so qualifying all done and dusted on the Friday. A day off on Saturday to enjoy watching the racing, and then to be very much part of the spectacle of the Macao Grand Prix on Sunday. Back to the 10th row of the grid. That's the number 22 car of Yu Kam Chun in the Parkview Motor Entered Ginetta G55. So the red and white car, all of the drivers enjoying performing on the world stage. They know that on the live stream around the world, and various different television channels taking this live coverage of all of the action here at Macao today on race day. The scene later on today of the 66th running of the Macao Grand Prix along the gear circuit here at Macao. And the number 55 car we just saw is Kenny Chung in car number 55. Final row of the grid on its own is Brian Lai, and that concludes the grid. The final countdown is underway. Jonathan Green in the commentary box with us. A big event for local drivers and a great shootout between the local regions of China, Macau, Hong Kong, China, all represented, fighting it out for a prestigious podium place.
Yeah, and the prestige of this event has gone up as the years have gone on, and I think now to show that the level of ability around this very, very tough circuit shows you when we have GT cars.
There's the grid, we just saw them. Front row is Kevin Tse and the Mercedes alongside Philip Kaduri in car number 8, also a Mercedes-Benz. Second row of the grid, Lei Kit Meng and David Pun on the second row of the grid. Third row of the grid, back to 39, that's Chang Wei Chung, and alongside the number 88 car of Chang Chien Shang. The fourth row of the grid sees Chan Hai, and alongside the number 11 car is Kan Che Wei. Matt Carlock, one of the regulars here on the fifth row of the grid in car number 4, alongside Chi Pei Wen in car number 88. The 66 car is on the inside of the sixth row of the grid, and that's Su Ying Hong, and alongside the number 68 car of Chi Pei Wen in the BMW M4. So that's the first half of the grid, waiting to get things underway with the BMW, the official car of the Macao Grand Prix, heading the field and tailing the field as well. Just look what a colourful spectacle, and an array of different GT marks are represented here, Johnny.
I know, I was just wondering, if you turn the lights out on that BMW, could he not join in?
We had a BMW leading the GT race yesterday when we had a safety car, of course. We had BMW at the front of the field. Augusto Papa's doing a great job from 12th on the grid to eventually taking 4th. That's the GT World Cup, which comes up later on. But this, the aperitif for it, the local GT Cup race. And I'm really very, very pleased indeed with the entry that we've got this year. A huge display of various different marks.
Yeah, very exciting indeed. Really looking forward to this one. And not as big a field as we've had in previous years, perhaps, but plenty big enough for the streets of Macao. There's no question about it. This is going to be tough to get round here in these very, very powerful cars. Some more nimble than others, but it's a combination, Macao, of being powerful on the straights and nimble in the mountain section.
I think it's fair to say that on the first of our local races yesterday in the Sun City Group Touring Car Cup, we had a clean race by and large, and we're hoping for that from the locals in the Sun City Group Greater Bay Area GT Cup as well. Just a quick mention, Sun City Group, with their continued support of this event, so welcome, and it's just a great endorsement of just how important this event is in the area.
No question about it. As we head up on the warm-up lap, some may be tuning in for the first time this morning, and so why don't we give you a little run about the circuit itself as we look at the formation lap. We've been through the runners and riders, but let's talk about some of the key points to this circuit. And I have to say, as they head off towards the first corner, which is effectively a kink, T1, it's flat out, and we've just gone through it. And then as you see them warming from side to side the tyres, it's a really long run, a straight run, a wide run, plenty of room here, but really only one fast line, because the next corner is another flat out corner through what we call the Mandarin Corner. named after the former hotel that was there. It's still now there, but it's the Grand Lapper, and there is the exit of it. And it's just before, after that, the DRS zone for Formula 3. But then the straight goes further on. That's not the end of it. That kink is flat out, and then it's still flat out for at least another half mile before you end up down at the bottom of the circuit at Lisboa.
Such a wide section of the circuit as well, and then it all funnels down into Lisboa, one of the iconic corners. Reprofiled circuit this year in terms of safety and circuit furniture, but not the layout of the circuit. The layout of the circuit is unchanged. On the run down towards Lisboa, as we're about to see you head into Sector 2. Johnny's already taken you through the very quick and wide Sector 1, and then the longer Sector 2. We call it the mountain section. They are so close to the barriers as they twist their way towards eventually the very tight Melco hairpin. That's halfway through the mountain section is the start of Sector 3, and then onto the blast down about. Yeah, it's not just barriers, it's walls as well, and they're very close, as you can see. Not really overtaking positions, but certainly it can set you up for the final section of the circuit, which will lend you the opportunity of overtaking towards the end of one lap and the start of the other when the circuit opens out.
You make a very good point. There's lots of street circuits around the world. There's very few where you're actually racing around walls.
Yeah, walls on the outside, walls on the inside. You can get tunnel vision as well.
Quite literally, yeah.
But bear in mind also, in a GT car and in a touring car as well, temperatures, we've been blessed with beautiful weather over the 4 days of the 66th running of the Macao Grand Prix. That's good for us, and it's good for everybody. The huge amount of people that we have in the grandstands, it makes for perfect racing conditions, but it's hot work. Drivers will dehydrate greatly inside the very, very warm cockpits of the cars, and it's a very physical action to get yourselves around 10 laps of the gear circuit here at Macao, which is what we have in prospect for the Sun City Group Greater Bay Area GT Cup. What a great entry. Mercedes on the front row of the grid. Kevin Sear and Philip Kaduri head up to the Melco hairpin, the only corner which has a constant stationary yellow. They can't overtake here. Even if they wanted to, they probably couldn't effect an overtaking manoeuvre. It's just a question of getting through the corner. However, it is a vitally important corner, because the exit you get, the speed you get, if you get it neat and tidy, it can set you up beautifully for this run down towards, in Sector 4, the final turn, Fisherman's onto our bend, and the conclusion of a lap. What a great scene is set for our second local support race of the weekend, the Sun City Group Greater Bay Area GT Cup. What a great grid it is as well. They come down, they'll get themselves into order to be under starters orders for the lighting gantry to indicate the start of the race. The BMW safety car will peel off, it will go straight ahead and then leave just the 2x2 grid as we see the two Mercedes on the front row of the grid with Kevin Sear and Philip Lawrence Kaduri, 18 and 8 on the front row of the grid. We're ready to race 8 laps around the gear circuit here at Macao for the Sun City Group Greater Bay Area GT Cup. Mercedes of Kevin Sear on the front row of the grid. Across the line they go. The race gets underway and we've got 12 laps in prospect. It's all very Mercedes as they go side by side. And a yellow flag.
I was about to say, that was not a very big
a yellow flag is waving.
Acceleration, was it?
We saw a green flag indication on the screen. We've got green lights indicated, but yellow flags, and you can just see there on the left of your screen as well, LED panel boards being displayed here for the first time at Macao. Very useful they have proven to be. We talked about the changes to the circuit this year. They are circuit furniture and safety features around the circuit, and they have proven to be very, very good indeed this year, haven't they?
Yes, and I'm wondering what the hold-up was, because they crossed the line, but no one accelerated, quite rightly, because there was a yellow flag. But the yellow flag I saw was more from one of the marshals rather than the LEDs. Now, we did have a false start yesterday with the GT races. Let's hope that's not the case in this one, but something was awry, and thankfully the start was aborted and everybody obeyed the rules.
Yeah, there was a problem with the lighting gantry before the start of the GT World Cup yesterday, and they identified the lighting problem before the cars actually went off on their green flag lap, so there was a start delayed effectively, while the problem with the lighting gantry, which I have to say is incredibly impressive to look at as you look down to the grid, but it caused a problem for us yesterday. We're only wondering at this stage whether there's a problem with the lights today.
Only because we get the timing monitors here.
That showed a green light.
It shows green, but it shows green still.
Yeah, and that would indicate, of course, that the race had got underway on the timing screen, but it has far from done so. If it had, it would be quite an unimpressive opening lap. It's being led by...
Fooled you!
Then the field are led through the mountain section by Kevin Sear in the number 18 Mercedes-Benz and Philip Kaduri. So it's a bit of a head-scratcher here in the commentary box as to exactly the reason why we didn't go racing. The BMW peeled off. It would have suggested that everything was good and in place. If we are to wonder about about whether the problem with the start was the lights, then potentially they didn't go off.
Well, there is a lot of discussion going on in the start box at the moment.
Is there?
And yeah, I'm just looking at across the way. That's the one thing I can see from here. So I think there is at least discussion going on about who should do what. But anyway, all good.
And discussion going on down on ground level as well. And you know, if there was a problem with the start, if that was the problem, then they could always refer back to the good old days and get the race underway with a green flag.
Yeah.
So that's a backup, isn't it?
Well, or we could get them all out their cars and have them run across.
Oh,
Le Mans style.
Now you're talking.
Well, the first Macao
GT
Grand Prix
racing
was run like that, yeah.
I'm sure, yeah. So they thread their way down from Melco hairpin. So for the local drivers to shine, that opportunity has not yet been presented to them, because we have essentially a second warming up lap, a second green flag lap.
I'll be interested to know if they take a lap off and this, you know, truly does become part of the race.
I wonder if the timing screen is going to count down and give us 11 laps to go. I have a feeling it will. We've got a very busy day. We've got our final race for World Touring Cars coming up. We've got the GT World Cup, and of course we've got the Macao Grand Prix as well, all to look forward to later on today. We've got a special event. We've got a parade around the circuit of supercars, and they are incredible machines that we'll see parading around the circuit. We've got all the colour and the glamour leading up to the start of the Macao Grand Prix, which will be the lion dance heading up to the start of the race. And now, side by side,
here we go
back into our sight. So are we ready to get this race underway? We shall see. The timing screen still says 12 laps to go. They've done very well without the safety car of getting themselves in order in 2x2 formation. The front row all Mercedes. They accelerate up towards the line, and still a yellow flag shows on the right hand side. So across the line they go. Are we racing? Sounds like we are.
Yes, we are.
So the number 18 car of Kevin Sear on pole position. It's all Mercedes.
Oh!
And there's a glance of the barrier from the second row of the grid. We'll have a look back at that in a couple of moments. But Mercedes leads Mercedes, and it's the pole position car of Kevin Sear who is leading just from the number 8 car of Philip Kaduri. They had to keep it all together, didn't they? They wouldn't really have known exactly what was going on. All they needed to know was that they were having to do another green flag lap, another installation lap, side by side for the lead down towards Lisboa. Pole position man Kevin Sear holds on to into it. Then we've got a bit of a gap difference. We've got the battle for third and fourth place, which is close as well, with the cars of Lei Kit Men and David Pun starting on the second row of the grid. But it's all Mercedes as they head away. They haven't been able to break away though, have they?
Yeah, and I think it was Lei and Pun that came together at the start there, and very, very tight indeed as they just headed out of the first corner. Both went very wide, and one of them touched the barriers, and luckily I don't think any untoward damage done, and he continued.
So Mercedes, Aston Martin as they head up through the mountain section with Kevin Sayat at the wheel of the number 18 car, threading their way through. That's our race leader on this, the opening lap. These are big cars that we've got here in the Sun City Group Greater Bay Area GT Cup. Gets even bigger a little bit later on with the GT World Cup, but very impressive form being shown throughout the weekend so far by these two Mercedes-Benz at the front of the field now in free practice from further down the order. 7th row of the grid, number 93, Alexander Au, featured in free practice, was second quickest, but not featuring really during the qualifying. So we'll see how many places he can make up as the race goes on. And Johnny's going to be keeping an eye on the timing screen.
I watched his start. He didn't make anything up on the start. He was 13th, and so I'm going to wait till they cross the strip again. And starting procedure under investigation. Interesting.
It will be interesting to know finally exactly what happened there, because it was quite peculiar, I think it's fair to say.
Well, there was a yellow flag right before the start finish, still waving before they headed out, which was odd for me because it doesn't give you confidence, does it, that they were going? But either way, we're racing now.
We are, and it's being led by the man that had pole position, a time of 2:35.130 in qualifying. And you get a chance to have a look at not only the various different marks, but also a great look at the liveries as well. A huge amount of thought goes into the one-off presentation of these cars. We've got Pun in third place, and then there's battle for just behind them for fourth place at the moment, being headed up by 39 Chang Wei Chung in the very, very impressive looking white and lime green number 39 machine, just being able to fend off the attentions to hold the place as they head down towards this overtaking place at Lisboa, and that's where potentially the KTM could get the advantage here as they head through Lisboa. Not quite close enough there, so slots in behind now towards the right-hander at San Francisco. Up the hill they go. San Francisco Hill with the two Mercedes leading two Aston Martins, Pun and Chang, 19 and 39. And then the KTM in 5th place, all making up places. And the number 7 car of Lei Kit Men didn't have the best of opening laps, dropping down the order to 6th place.
Alex Au has made one place up. He's up to 12th place. I'm keeping an eye on the battle for the Lotuses because that's the majority of the cars, and it's Mac who leads at the moment in the number 4. He's in 11th place at the moment, but being chased now by Alex Au, who has made some time up already.
It's Kaduri in 2nd place, Mercedes, in car number 8, that's put in the fastest lap on this first proper racing lap, if you like. Fastest in the 1st and 2nd sectors. On the previous lap, of course, it was the leader that got the overall best, and it's kind of what you would expect on the first of the racing laps. 2:40.330 for the leading number 18 Mercedes, but this, the second lap, so no further action concerning the start.
Good.
So that would have been an investigation into one or maybe more of the drivers, whether they were in order on the starts, and they were. And here we are looking at the Aston Martin heading through the Elco hairpin. That's the number 19 car of David Pun.
Good battle between 4th to 7th here at the moment. Pun Chang in the KTM, really looking forward to see what he can do in the 88.
So the race being led by two Mercedes at the end of lap number 3. That's the lap they're about to conclude any moment now. The Aston Martin has dropped back a little bit, so daylight between himself and the Mercedes, and daylight to this very, very intense battle for 4th place at the moment, being led by Chang Wei Chung in car number 39. That's the car you look at now, and the KTM, the number 88 car of Zhang Qianshang. And the KTM was a great addition, very entertaining to watch, very quick as well. Quick and nimble as it pulls out from behind the Aston Martin. They go side by side in that iconic view as they run down towards Lisboa. It's quick. He's having a look every which way, isn't he?
He is, and he's giving some real menacing situations for the number 4 because he won't give it up, and the Aston Martin doing everything he can to hold off the KTM, but for how long, I wonder.
He's on the outside line as they head down towards Lisboa. This is going to be brave stuff to handle it on the outside. He's not. He's going to have to settle in behind, and that's good news. Good, clean racing between the two of these. This is the battle for 4th place. Fantastic stuff.
Eureka Jesus, who's, like we said earlier, one of the stalwarts of this race, not having a good weekend, down in 17th place. He's gone down a spot as he battles with the rest of the Lotuses in the back of the field at the moment. And still keeping an eye on Alex Au. He's still 12th at the moment, still chasing Mack at the moment in the number 4. That's Carlos Mack.
So as I was going through the paddock, and they are on the 2nd floor down, in essentially a multi-level car park where they work on the cars, and I was going through looking at the cars, looking at the colours, looking at the liveries in order to identify before the weekend got underway, and I put a little heart shape next to the Aston Martin of Chang Wei Chung, the number 39 car, battling it out in 4th place with the KTM, because the livery on that car is absolutely beautiful. It's just a white car, a frosted finish, if you like, and just piped with lime green, and it looks absolutely beautiful. And it's a great battle on track as well. We're now back to the race leader, and he's been able to put out a further gap over the 2nd place Mercedes-Benz. The top 3 are pretty much in a race of their own now, and the reason for that is that the battle is pretty frantic behind, with the Aston Martin leading the KTM. So they are pretty much on their own with good gaps, and then into view goes this 4-way battle being headed up by that beautiful Aston Martin.
Yeah, field's spreading out quite dramatically, but of course that can all change with one safety car or one incident may bring out a red flag, and that will bunch the field back up again. But again, we'll watch this KTM battle, because this KTM seems to have great drive out of the last corner. Look how he goes there on the Aston Martin, and now he's caught right up with him as they head towards turn 1.
It looks nimble and light and nice to drive, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The body language of the car, and look at the speed he carries through the corner, and this is the vital point of the circuit. If you're looking at making a place up, has a look, as he did on the previous lap, just jinks out to the right-hand side of the Aston Martin. They head through this incredibly demanding, quick part of the circuit down through Mandarin. We've got a yellow flag at turn 22. That's not going to worry them. Pulls over to, once again, that's going to be the wide line on the run down to Lisboa. It's a little braver this time, but he's going to have to slot in behind once again. So still advantage Aston Martin, and the Aston Martin doing a great job of not putting a wheel wrong. There's no opportunity presented for the KTM.
That's the reason. The Lotuses, yeah.
So the orange Lotus, is that going to be the number 3 car?
Yes, it is.
It is. So.
Oh!
And goodness me, that looks like a bit of a handful for Li Yen Han in the K2C Motorsports.
He's doing a bit of a crab leg here.
G55 doing an incredible job of getting the car straight and turning into pit lane. So that was a slightly damaging lap, and we've now completed 4 laps of an 8-lap race, so indicated that we've got an 8-lap race. So the leader, Kevin Tate, car number 18.
Alex Au up to 10th position now in the 93. You quite rightly pointed that out before the start of this race, and we do have a safety car. The race is changing.
So recovery is required out on circuit, brings out the safety car for the first time. It's been a rather peculiar race in as much as they got an extra installation lap, and we've got this very poorly Ginetta making its way into pit lane. That's the number 5 car that we see coming in, of Li Yen Han from the K2C Motorsports. Entered rather damaged Ginetta G55. Great shape, safety car, full course yellow. So everybody grouping, and to close up, it's for the recovery of that Lotus, and it's out of the way. It's being avoided by everybody, coming through nice and slowly. But we're keen to get this race back underway to see the resumption of the battle for 4th place between the Aston Martin and the KTM, the number 39 car of Chang Wei Chung and Chang Tian Shang. And it's going to close up the top 3 as well, because at the end of lap number 4, see what happens to the Lotus.
Well, they touched each other at the end of the at the bottom of the hill.
The car spins.
They came together, and that's what the damage to the number 5 is. And he got the Lotus got spun round.
And the Ginetta, with broken suspension at the front, did a quite incredible job to crab its way all the way round to pit lane and get out of harm's way, which was very, very committed driving. Well done to get that car out the way. So only one car is required for recovery. But it does close up the gap, doesn't it, between...
Yeah, absolutely. Gives him another chance, Kaduri, for sure.
Kevin Say and Philip Kaduri. That's the official car of the 66th running of the Macau Grand Prix. Another one of the very, very striking liveries on that Ginetta. And that...
Suspension gone, I'm afraid.
Yeah, that car has been well and truly struck and won't be taking any further part in the Sun City Group Greater Bay Area GT Cup. So there'll be an investigation between those two cars. The Lotus of Liang Kwok Kwon and the number 5 Ginetta of Li Yen Han. And now a BMW leads the field around. It's the BMW safety car. Now, the whole of the field will need to keep the heat in the tyres, and so far, the greatest excitement of this race has come from that absolutely fantastic battle for 4th place with the number 39 car, Chang Wei Chung, defending from the KTM of Chang Tian Shang from the 3rd row of the grid. Now, if they can get that little Lotus recovered nice and quickly, we can see that battle resume. And you can be absolutely sure that the KTM will be keen to make up that place. It would perhaps be the simplest solution to the problem, to do it off the restart. So just notice the body language of the KTM. He's not allowing the Aston Martin to pull away in any way, shape or form at all.
Well, I think this is his best opportunity to get onto the podium, because we've seen his speed in a straight line. It's going to be a rolling restart. That's where he's strong. And there's no question that Chang's got a good opportunity. I'm really liking this car.
So, 12-lap race, 7 laps to go. 5 laps are completed. And we need to recover the little orange Lotus. And they can do that very quickly here at Macau. It could be a challenge at other circuits around the world that are not as used to and experienced of running a street race, but all of the challenges over the years have been mastered here at Macau, and recovery operations, clearance operations to get racing back underway has been perfected over the years and is a very neat opportunity. Bear in mind, these marshals will have been on post from very early on this morning ahead of race day here at Macau, and at a moment's notice they will fire into action, get the car recovered, get the road swept and back in a condition to get racing underway. So number 18, Kevin Tier, it is that leads in the Mercedes. His pole position time is a 2:35.130. Best lap of the race so far, 2:35.556. So we're slightly shy of the pole position time, but give them time. 7 laps remain. 6 laps are going to be in the book at the end of this one. We've got the white flag showing in the background, indicating the slower vehicles out on track, recovering the Lotus.
They're going to need another lap, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. It's not been as quick to do as sometimes it is. Sometimes the cars can get themselves just a little bit close to the wall to allow the lifting gear to easily be put into place. So this one has proven to be a 3-lap recovery so far, with the yellow flags and yellow LED indicator boards showing around the circuit. One of the safety innovations for 2019, all in the process of raising the grade, the FIA grade of the circuit here at Macao, to a grade 2 from a grade 3.
Yeah, several different actions taken, including those digital boards you were talking about. Very, very good indeed. A few changes to the Mandarin exit, where they put some absorption foam barriers, which really work well. And the idea being there that if you do clatter the barriers there, there's a lot more absorption now for the car, which hopefully means the car won't bounce off and then ricochet literally across to the other side. It's a blind corner anyway, so if you come round there, what's happened in the past is if a car has hit the wall, you wouldn't see it, and then suddenly you come round the wall and the first thing you see is the car back on the racing line, effectively in the middle of the track, and they've managed to avoid that. We saw one example of it yesterday where it worked brilliantly.
Yeah, it's been very effective, and so too has the straightening of the runoff area at Lisboa. So if you think that maybe the car is not going to turn in, you can use the escape road. You can go directly on, straight on, get the car safely turned round and rejoin when it's safe to do so. And that's been very useful as well.
They've also changed the curbing on the inside. It was used to be sort of try to create a funnel to avoid people going up the inside. They've now gone back to a more straighter version, and like you say, that I think it's genius. That Lisboa thing is working brilliantly, because if you miss your braking point, if something goes wrong, as happened with Maro Engel yesterday, now, okay, he involved another car, his own teammate, but he was able to get down the runoff, and the incident was cleared up very quickly indeed, which in previous years may not have been the same.
Not a manoeuvre that we would have seen before with the curbing as it was previously,
no.
But it was tried and proven to all it doesn't work.
No. Well, to be fair,
poor old Maro.
Yeah, but to be fair, he did get a touch just before, as the other car came slightly to the right, which is totally his right to do. But they touched beforehand. Maro may have made it had he managed to not touch the car before. So
look at the weaving that the Mercedes can do. That's pretty vicious weaving, isn't it, from side to side to get as much heat into the tyres as is possible. And you have to feel sorry for Chang Wei-chung, who, if he does glance in his mirror occasionally during this safety car lap,
he's towing a KTM.
It would have been full of KTM for the entire 3 laps that we've had the safety car intervention. 6 laps to go.
Intimidation.
And the safety car has been told by race control to move it up to race pace now. And as they head down from the Melco hairpin, we'll see, hopefully, the BMW going straight on into pit lane, and we'll get this race back underway. So not only will we look at the top 2 with Kevin T and Philip Kaduri in the Mercedes, but we're also going to be having a look at this KTM monstering the Aston Martin just in front. Yep, safety car in this lap. So now the weaving of the cars to get heat into the tyres even more important, and all of that intimidation, will it pay off for the driver of the 88 KTM, Chang Chen-Chang, and he's still just behind the Aston Martin. We're going to go racing again. We've got go, go, go across the line, and the Mercedes of Kevin Sear, pole position, and he's led all of the laps so far. He's now got 5 more laps to go.
Keeping an eye on the KTM. Here he comes, just in the back of your shot now. Look at him, lights blazing. And he's going to make an attempt, I'm sure, at the Mandarin. He goes to the inside line this time, now to the outside. Where's he going to go?
So he absolutely hugs the barrier on the outside of Mandarin. And then it's this run down towards Lisboa that you wonder, will he get down the inside? He's not able to do it each time he's gone so far. Can he do so now? Looks on the outside, down towards Lisboa. Side by side they go. He's going to have to slot in behind once again. That was potentially his best opportunity. He's not able to do it.
Good drive by Chang, though. He did a brilliant job coming into Lisboa. getting the car as wide. You just need it in the middle of the road, so you can't take the inside line. And having to go round the outside means you just can't turn in. It's just almost impossible unless you outbrake yourself to get round the outside at Lisboa, and that is a great job done by the Aston Martin.
That KTM has been one of our real highlight drivers of the weekend. It's been such a nimble car. Great to watch, and now this battle for fourth place is fascinating. The Aston Martin, the KTM, the two of them glued together. If only he can get through, I think he's going to be much quicker.
I agree.
Through this mountain section. But it's a question of the legs being stretched by the Aston Martin, and each lap after lap, he has the advantage at the overtaking opportunity.
Immense pressure. Now, under-braking towards police, he's got to be oh so careful. Oh, you can feel it, can't you?
Wonderful to watch, and they're keeping it so neat and tidy. The Aston Martin cannot afford to make a single error, because the KTM, which does look a fantastic car, doesn't it? It looks aggressive. It looks like it's going to take the place away.
And it's one of the few sizes of cars, I would argue, that could maybe just squeeze through in the mountain section, but easier said than done.
Don't write it off.
No.
We've got 5 laps to go, including the one that they are on. So we are now into the final sector. Kevin Sear at the front of the field has made a good restart. He's putting in purple sectors as well. But now we get to the opportunity that we have once again for fourth place to change. Car number 39 is Chang Wei Chung in the Aston Martin.
And our leader has just put a very impressive lap in, fastest in the first 2 sectors. Whoa!
What a slide for the second place Mercedes-Benz. That was a little bit of a moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a 2:35, the fastest lap of the race. Here comes the KTM again.
So this battle for fourth place, the Aston Martin and the KTM. The lights ablaze on all of the GT cars for the Sun City Group Greater Bay Area GT Cup. This battle for fourth place, absolutely enthralling. Little bit of a wiggle as they go through the corner for the KTM, but he's still glued to the back of the Aston Martin. Pulls out, as we've seen, lap after lap to the outside of the corner and slots in behind. Under braking, you can see just how hard he's pushing the car.
I think he's going to have to change tactics. I think he's going to have to make a move as he goes through Mandarin.
It can't be there. It cannot be there. It cannot be at Lisboa. So this is the area that the KTM looks more nimble, but there's no way through here. And you just wonder, as the laps continue to count down, whether there's going to be, at some stage, a slightly more daring manoeuvre in this very twisty section of the circuit. And rarely does a manoeuvre like that go according to plan.
Alex Howe has slowed right down.
That's not according to plan.
Yeah, that is not according to plan. He was in the top 9. He's disappeared. Down in 20th place, Eureka de Jesus, another man we were looking at. He's up to 13th now. So I'm keeping an eye on the battle for the Lotus as well. Max still leading that. Max in 10th position now behind the BMW, but there's a host of Lotuses. Linus Stern 10th through 13th.
Yeah, big disappointment that the Audi has not been able to feature during the qualifying of the race, because it's good to have that Audi R8 making its debut here on the Gear circuit, the only Audi that we've got in the field. Mercedes 1 and 2. Aston Martin 3 and 4. KTM, the sole KTM, in 5th place. In 7th place, the top BMW, and in 10th place, the top Lotus.
Look who's joined the battle now.
Now, this could change the complexion of it, because now we've got a Ginetta just behind the KTM, so essentially a 4-car train heading down from Melco with the BMW on the back of it. We've now got a question for the KTM of attacking and defending as well.
England versus Austria.
So as the Aston Martin leads, he's got a bit of a gap at the conclusion of the 9th lap of this 12-lap race. So throughout the race, this has been the battle to watch, hasn't it?
This is the key corner for the KTM. He's got to get really good drive here on the Aston Martin. Likewise, the Ginetta will try to do the same thing. And here we go. He's got just that. Now this is much better. And the number 5 is really riling up now for an overtake. He slots himself in, sucks in the air, and surely will get a slingshot. He's got to make this happen now before Mandarin, or it's not on. He hasn't done it yet.
Side by side for 4th place, and he's looking every which way over the back of the Aston Martin. He's not done it yet.
No.
This is where the Aston Martin can stretch his legs. Now, right in the slipstream is the KTM on the run down towards Lisboa. His favoured area for the overtake. He's side by side. He's just got a nose in front. He's going to turn into the corner and go straight on. Straight on for the KTM. It wasn't for the want of trying. Absolutely fantastic stuff. And the Aston Martin absolutely stayed strong and didn't make a mistake. And now he's got a Ginetta to deal with.
I know. We said it, though. You cannot really go around the outside or you'll outbrake yourself, and that's what he's done. But I'm more out of frustration than anything else. I think he should have waited a lap, because the drive he got out of the final corner, as I predicted, was going to give him what he needed, but he just couldn't make it happen. What a shame.
But what a spirit. What a spirit. Absolutely.
I'll shake his hand later, that's for sure. I'm going to go and find him.
Superb so far, and he's about to rejoin. That was the straight-on runoff that we talked about down at Lisboa. A huge shame. And the only good thing about it is that the car wasn't damaged. It was able to utilise the straight run at Lisboa, turn the car around. Here's another look at it. They went side by side. Always the inside line held by the Aston Martin. But the KTM just got a nose in front. Just not enough to be able to turn in and turn into the corner straight on. And
look, the Aston Martin also braking very late and just making it round the corner.
Wow, what a battle that was.
Really
a joy and the story of the race. Now, I wonder if a Ginetta can make this.
I'm going to say, he's now lining himself up nicely.
Setting a 4th place and tying himself up onto the back of the Aston Martin. I have to say that Chang Wei Chung, the driver of the 39 Aston Martin, at the end of this race, is going to be absolutely exhausted.
He will be, yeah.
And he really is being pressured into making a mistake.
Well, the prestige of a podium is so important.
He's not done. So possible debris on track reporting at turn 7. So that's in the mountain section with the Ginetta. That's the car of number 7 Ginetta. In 5th place now as a result of the KTM dropping down. BMW into the top 6. That's Chan Hay in the gold and white BMW. This is the race leader. We've not spoken about the race leader
not too much.
That much, because that battle for 4th place was so enthralling. But the advantage that Kevin Say has at the front of the field, 2.6. So it's Macau leads Hong Kong. Kevin Say leads Philip Lawrence Kaduri in 2nd place. Who had a
big moment.
Yeah, that was a big moment. And he's 2.6 seconds behind. Hong Kong in 2nd place, Hong Kong in 3rd place with the number 19 car of David Punn. And that's our race leader. We have completed 10 laps out of 12. And may I just also add, with 1.5 laps to go, they have equipped themselves incredibly well.
This has been a really
absolutely beautiful race, Johnny. It's been an absolute joy, hasn't it?
Yep.
To watch the Mercedes on top so far in the Sun City Group Greater Bay Area GT Cup. On top in the GT World Cup yesterday with Raffaele Marciello. Will it be the story in the World Cup later on today? At the moment, advantage Mercedes. Aston Martin in 3rd. That's the 3rd place car you see. And they're closing up, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
So Chang potentially, after defending race long, maybe can sense a podium is in order as they go towards the end of the penultimate lap and head on to the final lap in this 12-lap race. An unusual start to the race. They got an extra.
Yeah, that was weird, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. A sort of a. Oh, that was.
He almost outbraked himself.
Wide at Melco, wasn't it? That was the Aston Martin of David Punn in 3rd place, getting oh so close to the barrier on the exits of Melco. That's suggesting to me potentially is the reason why we've got the 4th place Aston Martin closing up. Or maybe the tyres going off in the 3rd place car.
keeping an eye on the Ginetta, and again for that run out of this corner to start the lap again. Here he is in the pink and white.
That's the car in.
Oh no! Big R4, and you said, has he got the tyres? Well, either way, he slid right off.
I did wonder if the car wasn't going quite right, quite according to plan. We've got the car stricken on track. A big hit for the car. Turn 23, the final turn, onto the starting grid, and they are on the final lap. So,
which will, I'm thinking, finish under safety simply because they can't come round at speed onto the main straight like that. Safety car is out, will finish under safety, but an enthralling race all the same. It's not good to see it finish under safety, but you can't really have a choice there after that big smash.
The telltale sign was coming out of the Macao hairpin.
Oh, what a shame.
So close to the barrier at Macao, that car was not right. The gap had come right the way down between himself and the 39 car of Chang Wei Chung.
Here's another look.
And
yeah,
slide and contact. Oh dear, oh dear. And the chasing Aston Martin, who's had a very busy race, Chang Wei Chung, doing well to avoid the car, to avoid the debris, and to claim a podium, which in fairness is a just dessert for an incredible job of defending race long. That battle with the KTM, it potentially was going to be a battle with a Ginetta. It was for fourth place, and now with the unfortunate accident for David Punn, becomes the battle for the podium place, the final podium place. So to Mercedes at the front of the field. They thread their way around. This is really just the theatre of the final lap now under safety car, so no overtaking. Essentially a slightly premature victory lap up towards the Macao hairpin. 100% record this weekend, pole position and the race win for Kevin Tsay in the number 18 Mercedes. It's going to be a win for Macau and a second place for Hong Kong, with Philip Kaduri in the Mercedes-Benz in second place, and that's something that will gladden the hearts of Mercedes-Benz fans around the world. A great sight, a 1-2 for Mercedes. We get fairly used to saying that in racing around the world, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
A 1-2 for Mercedes in the Sun City Group Greater Bay Area GT Cup, and an Aston Martin in third place, a Ginetta in fourth place, and the Aston Martin and the driver takes to a place of safety behind the barrier, but the checker flag will go out, and it goes to the man that took pole position. Kevin Tsay takes the win, took pole position with a 2:35.130, and takes the fastest lap as well, 2:35.166. Would you have a more dominant weekend for a local driver? And this is going to be very special for a Macau driver.
Well, like I said, and I've said all through the weekend, this race is all about local pride and Hong Kong versus Macau. And again, it's advantage Macau. Will this be a precursor to what could happen in the big GT race, I wonder? Could Mercedes do it there?
They've got some pretty competitive manufacturers wanting to take the GT World Cup later on. The local race has been won by Mercedes. Later on, they'll be dealing with Porsche, with Audi, and with BMW as well. Today, they took the spoils of victory. And I have to say, I'm very happy with the new look GT race that we have.
Yeah, I like it. I really like it. And it's a chance, like I said, the skill level has gone way up over the years here with the local racers. They now get a lot more track time, and there's a lot more, obviously, opportunities with GT racing in the region and touring cars in the region, TCR in the region, and yeah, it's fantastic. And now these guys are getting some good GT time here. Very hard to run a GT car around this track, but they do it well.
Second place for the Hong Kong driver Philip Lawrence Kaduri in the Mercedes, both of them going round in manufacturer team formation. And I think good word should go to the car that finished in 12th place, the number 88 car. It started in 6th place, Tian Chang in the KTM. A very, very brave manoeuvre down towards Lisboa. He had to do it down at Lisboa. He would have had great speed on the mountain section had he been able to get past that third place car. The car of Chang Wei Chung in the Aston Martin. Got my vote for the most beautiful and understated livery of the weekend. Look at it.
I'd vote for that, yeah.
Just highlighted, like you just drawn around the outline of the car with a highlighter pen, but it looks beautiful and goes incredibly well under immense pressure, and it was immense pressure race long. Not the way he would have wanted to take the final place on the podium, with the unfortunate Aston Martin retirement of David Pugh. However, David's out of the car and a place of safety, which is jolly good news. And that's confirmation of the result. There's your podium. The win goes the way of Kevin Say in the Mercedes-Benz. 12 laps completed. Macau wins. Hong Kong in second place. Philip Lawrence Kaduri in car number 8 in the Mercedes. And then the Aston Martin that defended race long from the KTM. And latterly, the Ginetta G55 in third place on the podium. There we see confirmation that the KTM does take 12th place at the end and wins the hearts of many a fan around the circuit at Macau. A very, very impressive drive for the speedy, nimble KTM. Chang Tian Chang finishes in 12th position. I run them right the way down the order as well. A superbly clean race by and large for the Sun City Group Greater Bay Area GT Cup. Sometimes we've seen the local support races get a little bit too boisterous on race day.
That's a good way of putting it.
But that one, pretty much by and large, very neat and tidy. And we're going to see German and British manufacturer represented on the podium in the form of Kevin Say, Philip Lawrence Kaduri and Chang Wei Chung on the podium. Mercedes and Aston Martin. Look at that, we've got the bus, the people carrier and the taxi in the background.
Says it all, doesn't it?
And that's the sad sight. Cars into pit lane and then the recovery of the once beautiful, unspoilt, once third placed Aston Martin of David Pugh. Sadly finishing in the barrier. I fancy that car was causing problems in the latter stages of the race. Potentially the tyres past their best, having pushed them early on in the race, or some other handling problem with the car, but it wasn't handling perfectly, and the sign was given at the Melco hairpin, and then all coming to pass at the end of the lap. Very sad. That's the delight of a Macau driver taking the top step of a podium on the gear circuit at Macau. It's all smiles for the team and all smiles for Kevin down in Parc Fermé. A podium will come up and chance to celebrate with the two Mercedes drivers, Hong Kong and Macau, and a great celebration down in Parc Fermé. And you can be sure that the stakes will be raised in celebration even higher on the podium in a few moments. But make no mistake, this means a huge amount to a local driver with a 100% record this weekend. Pole position, led every lap, got perfect starts, and it was required twice for Kevin Say. Helmet on top of the car, balaclava off, and receiving the congratulations of officials and team alike down in Park Fairmate.
Plenty to talk about in the bar tonight.
Plenty to talk about as they watch the World Cup of GT racing. Well done to our third place driver, Chang Wei Chung, in the Aston Martin, for defending so hard, race long. First of all, from the KTM, and latterly from the Ginetta driver that we see down there. Listen to the team. You can just feel what it means to be on the podium as a Macanese driver. It will sink in a little bit later on just how much this means. And now they are directed over towards the podium. And the podium will be conducted by our English language circuit commentator. Ian Titchmarsh, who will be in charge of the podium celebrations. No classes in the Sun City Group Greater Bay Area GT Cup, just the top three. And we've got some pretty famous VIPs here as well. Mr. Andrew Yeun, famous actor from the area. So too Mr. Tony Hung, famous actor, and a famous actor and singer to present to Kevin Say. Mr. Raymond Lamb will make the presentation to our winner. There it is. That's the podium. You see the pictures from the podium at Macao year after year. And Ian Titchmarsh, just to the right of your screen, the circuit commentator in English language. They mix up the commentary around the circuit for the international crowd that we have here. We have the local languages catered for, Portuguese and English as well. And a chance to look back before the podium of all of the glamour heading into our second local race of the weekend, the Sun City Group Greater Bay Area GT Cup. The race finally did get underway after one extra installation lap, and it was Mercedes off the line, side by side, and then that little scrape at the barrier from the second row of the grid. But Mercedes heading down towards Lisboa. The two of them going together. The pole position man just to the head of Philip Kaduri in second place. And it was to remain that way race long. There was a problem for the Lotus. Contact with the Ginetta early on in the race. And now I think we're pretty much ready to get our podium presentation underway with Ian Titchmarsh.
Greater Bay Area GT Cup. Drivers coming forward onto the podium in reverse order. In third place, Chang Wei Chung. And his trophy to be presented by Mr. Andrew Yeun, the famous actor, to make the presentation of the trophy to Chang Wei Chung with the Aston Martin. In second place, Philip Kaduri. And the winner is Kevin Chair. Onto the top of the podium, please. And now to present the trophy to the third place finisher, could I ask Mr. Andrew Yeun, the famous actor, to come forward to present the trophy to Chang Wei Chung.
And a very deserved third place as well for the Aston Martin driver, Chang Wei Chung.
And pose for photographs, if you would, please, Andrew Yeun.
With the famous actor from the region.
To present the trophy to Philip Kaduri for second place, could I ask Mr. Tony Hung, please, to come forward.
Philip Kaduri absolutely delighted with this second place. You can feel the excitement from the Hong Kong driver.
Getting the laurel and the trophy from Tony Hung is Philip Kaduri. Very pleased with the fact that he came through second. And now to present the trophy to the winner, to Kevin Chair, could I ask Mr. Raymond Lamb, a famous actor and singer, to present the trophy to the winner.
100% record for Kevin Tse this weekend, receiving the garland of victory and the winner's trophy.
Thank you very much. Pose for the photographs. Could you all cluster together, group together on the podium, please, for the photographs? Thank you. Trophies up in the air. Let them see the trophies. Hold them up. That's it. And now could I ask the presentation party to leave the podium? The drivers stay where they are because they're about to receive the champagne.
So
we know what racing drivers on podiums do with champagne.
So the VIPs leave the podium. A champagne celebration about to get underway.
Who's going to win this race? I think it's gone to Kevin Chair. It's getting very messy up there.
I wondered why Chang Wei Chung had popped the sunglasses on. Champagne in the eyes rather stings, doesn't it? So very clever. We'll hear from the drivers.
Well done. From start to finish, you were in the lead. A good race?
Yeah, it was nerve-wracking. Philip is very fast, and on the first lap, he almost got me in Lisboa. But then kept my head down, and then two safety cars, which didn't affect me too much, so I kept the pace and kept my head down, and then, finally, 11 years of trying.
I was just going to ask you, is that your first win at Macau after 11 years you've been coming here?
Yes, after 11 years, finally on the top 7 podium.
And obviously you're going to do it again?
Of course.
Next year?
Of course.
Well, congratulations, Kevin, well done.
Thank you.
Now, Philip, I think this is your first visit to Macau, isn't it, to race?
It is indeed. I'm a Macau rookie. I honestly cannot believe the qualifying result, and I can't believe the race result.
Well, you've done it. Go on, believe it.